I'm live, by the way. Gotta warn the people. This is not an excellent camera angle, is it? Okay, you can hear that. That's good. I've invited Roger. I should tell Roger. It's the first time we're broadcasting East Meets West on Google Hangout. Oh, there he is. Hey, Roger.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we are live broadcasting on Google Hangout, by the way.
Oh, nice.
So, you know, the normal swearing and cursing that you do is not appropriate any longer.
So should I do some appropriate swearing and cursing instead?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's okay. I don't know. There was a long terms of service agreement that I had to agree to.
I sort of blindly clicked on it, perhaps not so wise.
All right. Really puppy face? That's what they do now? Oh, look at that. It's cute.
Hey, come on, I don't have that.
I don't know.
Look at it. Oh, there it is. They moved it to the top. Used to be at the bottom.
Oh, yours, it looks much better on you.
Because I have glasses and I'm looking
your
directly.
camera's better. Yeah. That's what it is. Let's see if
Oh, it's a dog day at work.
I cannot get this FireWire camera.
That's old tech, Tom. Old tech.
I know, right? Ancient of days.
Might as well be recording yourself
it looks
with
so much better though.
With an easel and a palette of paints.
Paladin paints.
No, palette of paints.
Oh. That's not what I meant to do. Let's see.
That's what.
Yeah, that's the only. It doesn't give me the option of the FireWire. Probably because we already started. Shall we do this?
Yes, we shall. We should.
All right.
Something.
I am recording audio as well. This, just so you know, Roger, will be recorded and put up on YouTube automatically under my YouTube account.
Okay. That should totally, I don't know what it would do for us.
Scare the crap out. No, I think we have an ad, too. Let me do something there and check with the things. Hey, and we could do screen sharing. This is kind of cool.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if we need to, but we have the ability.
We could collaborate on the podcast.
Yeah.
More so than we are right now.
So let me see. Where's the thing with the stuff? This is the best. You actually get pre-show East Meets West. There it is. East Meets West for March 15th. Yep. We got an ad. All right, you ready to go?
Yes. I should get some light on me, huh?
This episode of East Meets West is brought to you by Audible.com, the internet's leading provider of audiobooks with more than 100,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature, including fiction, nonfiction, and periodicals. For a free audiobook of your choice, go to audiblepodcast.com/east. Welcome to East Meets West, episode 280. I'm Tom Merritt.
And I'm Roger Chang. I think this has been a couple of weeks since we've recorded a cast of Podding.
Yeah, let me see. March 1st, we put up episode, wait a minute. March 1st was 278. What day was 279? March 1st was 279. I don't know what I'm looking at. Yeah, so it's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Respectable, I guess. Or not.
And not only are we doing a Google Hangout, which we have been doing, so that people can drop in, but I finally got the ability to broadcast it live.
Nice. It's we've been giving streaming powers.
And of course, immediately I get something stuck in my throat. Talk to the people. I'll be right back in a second.
All right, so while Tom goes out and clears his throat, this is what I've been up to since this morning. I got up, my morning little calisthenics routine. I looked at some news sites, got dressed, brushed my teeth, combed my hair, checked to make sure my house wasn't on fire, locked the door.
Wow, that's compelling.
It is. It's incredibly compelling. What are you talking about? This is what people want. They want the nuances of a person's life.
They want the reality.
I ordered sprinkles on my Baskin-Robbins birthday cake.
Wow. Spring rolls on your Baskin-Robbins?
That would actually be a good idea to know sprinkles. No, I don't like Baskin-Robbins. Their ice cream tastes too, like it's been sitting there in the back. It's that freezer burn taste.
Yeah. Well, you know what I realized I didn't do was invite our East Meets West circle in. So I'm going to do that now. See if anybody shows up. Maybe that's why nobody's been showing up the last few episodes.
Oh, you haven't invited?
Do that. That's there now. Well, I think we should start this episode by reading some comments. We got some
yes.
Nice comments on the last episode. Fez, up there in Canada, writes, great discussion. Great discussion on the end of growth, you guys. TED 2012 has a couple of speeches that are very interesting to look at, which Boing Boing contrasts in this link. And he's got hey, you know what I could do on the Google Hangout?
You could share.
Screen share. Let's see if this works. Let me make sure I don't have anything horrible up. So I got to pick my desktop. Okay. There we go. Look at
that. That's pretty sweet. That's like I'm looking at your desktop webpage.
Except it's backward. Why is it backwards? Oh, there.
It's perfect for me. It's backwards for you.
Yeah. No, it looks fine. So this is his link. A pessimist and an optimist talk at TED 2012. First two videos from TED were up. This is from February 29th. Paul Gilding, author of The Great Disruption, Why the Climate Crisis Will Bring on the End of Shopping and the Birth of a New World.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gilding's talk was followed by a much more positive one by Peter Diamandis, chair of the X Prize Foundation, titled Abundance is Our Future. If I had to guess, Roger.
I think that swings hot and cold. You got
I would say you're on more of the depressing Great Disruption, Paul Gilding side of things, no?
I wouldn't say in that. I would just say that eventually there will be a steady decline of people, and a lot of the things that we've had recently has been basically from growth from somewhere, not maybe in the U.S. but somewhere in the world. So I mean, at some point, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen in the next 50 or 100 or even next 200 years, but I mean, there's a general trend unless someone comes on with the instant fertility pill where a woman can just pop in, boom, by the end of the week they're pregnant and they're ready to go.
Fez continues in his post, says, while the end of growth guy, that's Gilding, was characterized as a pessimist, I found him very hopeful overall, while the optimist from the Singularity University comes off as a naive, wishful thinker more than anything. The moment he said, my good friend Kurzweil, I knew I'd be rolling my eyes for the rest of the talk. Fez must not like the Singularity talk much. He continues, while many of the technologies he raves about are indeed fantastic, you can't innovate out of the problem of resource scarcity. More information leads to greater efficiency, never more resources, and thus far, greater efficiency productivity has not led to reduced use. It has led to more work. Greater fuel efficiency has not led to driving as much for less. It means driving more for the same cost. There's simply no way to grow sustainably much further than we are on a finite planet. Given current and near-term technology, the return on energy investment for any of those technologies is so absurdly low that anything other than a token presence is a fantasy. As a species, we are stuck here for a century or two at least. The question is, will we emerge from that like Star Trek or Mad Max?
I think it's going to end up looking a lot like the 60s at some point. Just lower global population overall, and maybe a return to more. So one of the big things that people often talk about globalization is bringing down barriers. Borders disappear between people, nation states, and all that. I think that all that stuff is going to come back in some form or another. Maybe not in the way the way we use it today, but some sort of ideological boundaries or something between groups of people, between tribes, city-states, perhaps.
But we have that. How do you think it's going to be different than what we have now? We have borders between tribes. The tribes are just the United States of America and Russia, et cetera.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, not the traditional nation state. I think it might regress into something smaller, perhaps a city-state or maybe something in between. But maybe not the nation state. Maybe an ethnic state. Maybe return to the ethnic state.
Yeah, you know what? I've actually been thinking about that, and I've been playing around with the idea for a book in my head. And one of the things that I supposed in kind of creating the setting for the story was that it's millions of, I don't know if millions, but it's a very long way down the road, right? And
way after you're dead.
And essentially, municipalities went around their nation states to cooperate with each other to solve problems. And the city-state has risen out of the nation-state to become the most influential entity on the planet. And the idea being that nation-states still exist, but cities get enough autonomy, because cities are often autonomous within their states or countries up to a certain point, other than foreign policy and defense, et cetera, and that they actually become more powerful in a world where war becomes less important, and that's the key. Right now, nation states, I think, derive a lot of their power from the idea of defense. You need a large federal bureaucracy. You need a large agglomeration of power on a widespread level to defend you from the enemies. And if as is certainly possible, we continue the trend of having less war. I mean, everybody looks around and is like, oh, the world is filled with war. Look at the horrible things happening in Syria. Look at the horrible things happening in Somalia. Look at the horrible things happening in Afghanistan, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But relatively speaking, we have less war, I think, than we've had maybe ever, certainly in a long time.
I mean, the number of conflicts has certainly gone down. I mean, with the age of 24-hour media, I mean, everything becomes so much more apparent. So things that might have happened, say, back in the 80s that, it's some far-off country, I don't know, I don't care. But, I mean, today's 24-hour media, it makes everything so immediate and so in your face that you can't help but notice it. I think it's interesting what you were saying about the city-state. I've always had, I've been bumping around an idea in my head is that perhaps in the future, the future city-state or the future nation won't be a contiguous landmass or a border. It might be one defined by access, right? For example, at the height of the British Empire, what really united all the various colonies of Britain was the fact that the sea lanes were controlled by the British, and therefore you could go from one to the other with relative ease, in context of that time period. I'm wondering if it's possible to create like these centers, for example, like take all the global cities like your Londons, your New Yorks, your Tokyos, your Parises, and you interconnect them with the high-speed internet or whatever, allowing them to trade and do commerce with each other without necessarily having to deal with the rest of the population outside of that city or that border. Now, granted, you would still have to employ people to ship goods and to do manual labor, but for the most part, these cities themselves would just interconnect, and it would be kind of it would be almost like a country within a country. Like it would still be within Britain, it would still be in France, but because they do so much with each other, their relative importance to each other is greater than, say, their immediate surrounding populations.
Well, and I posit in this story that I've been working on, I put it up on my blog at subrilliant.com, that the 31 most populous cities create what's called the agglomeration. And it's essentially a committee meeting of all the heads of all the various cities that get together to decide important things. And in some ways, that's kind of what you're talking about, where the intervening areas between the cities that are of lower population just don't really get a say. And it's unfair, But how is that any more unfair than the situation we have now, where lots of people don't get a say, but we pretend like they do because they're within the borders we've drawn.
Yeah. And well, it's interesting because what you may see is kind of an outgrowth where social class begins to form based on those with access to technology and higher education and those without. I mean, you kind of see that already where people, especially I can't really speak for outside of the U.S., but The Economist pointed to a trend 2 years ago where like-minded individuals tend to kind of collect in common areas. For example, people who are technology-minded and liberal tend to congregate around the SF Bay Area, and people who, say, are more rural or perhaps to live a lifestyle that's probably the exact opposite tend to group around in different areas. They physically move. It's not like, hey,
I know what you're saying. Those are horrible examples, but I know what you're saying, which is like-minded people tend to want to live near people who think the way they do.
And if you take it one step further, like-minded people tend to deal with people that think exactly like they do. And so when you have an economy that you can interact with online, you can bypass a lot of the things where, oh yeah, I got to talk to this guy even though I don't like him. I got to do business with him because he's the closest, blah, 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 in my neighborhood. Or he's the only guy with that widget. Oh, I can go to this other guy. He has a widget halfway across the planet, but, we have the same interests. We like the same movies. We have the same thoughts. We have the same ideas about politics and religion and the rest.
Our next comment on the previous episode was from Francis at subbrilliant.com/EMW. He says, "We are at this stage of life that we should/must look to establish permanent orbital space settlements and/or sky dirigibles like cities. Have you seen that airship Zeppelin Eureka up above the sky of San Francisco? Plus, have you seen the Science Channel show called Prophet of Science Fiction?"
Aren't all dirigibles sort of kind of in the air, unless it's broken or on the ground?
Well, no, he's saying that we should make orbital space settlements and/or sky cities.
Yeah.
The Zeppelin that's going around San Francisco is basically a big tour bus.
Yeah, I've been on it. It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, but it's not. It's far from being a stepping stone to a sky city.
I'm wondering if he's kind of drawing upon the next BioShock game, which instead of being under the water, it's up in the air. I think even Star Trek used that trope, the city in the clouds, where the aristocrats, the well-to-do lived, well and easy lifestyles, while the people on the ground that mined the minerals and stuff that the world sold for money lived a much harsher, much more less favorable lifestyle. And I don't know. In the longer term, I don't know. It sounds actually more expensive to do it that way. It's a nice kind of like, I'll be living in giant cylindrical colonies floating above Earth. But there's so many resources that you need to dedicate to that to keep it ongoing. You might as well just, take section off a piece of mountaintop and say, this is where my castle is going to be.
What about orbital space settlements?
I don't see it. There's with our current technology, I don't see it, or even the foreseeable technology. It's just the demands on energy, as well as understanding long-term effects of people living in an artificial,
or even a low gravity situation like the moon causes wasting effects on the muscles
and bone.
We think we can counteract, but we don't know how exactly yet.
I think you actually lose bone density too.
Yeah, right. No, you're right. You do. And so there's lots of ideas of like, well, we think we could figure out how to counteract that, but that doesn't mean we could put somebody up there right now and counteract it.
Perhaps it's one of those things where the future of mankind isn't so much putting ourselves in orbit, but putting our culture or whatever, in the form of synthetic life forms.
I'm definitely for exploration. I don't know about settlements quite yet. We have to do a lot more for making it possible for people to live permanently in low gravity situations without health risks. I don't even know exactly what the risks are, how bad they are, etc. That has to be figured out. And then we also have to figure out how to make them sustainable so that we're not spending much more than they're worth to send supplies up.
Exactly. And or if there's a way to make them self-sustaining, which I don't think is possible. But it's a nice sci-fi plot, and it's been used quite often.
Yeah, I just finished Blue Remembered Earth by Alistair Reynolds, and several of the characters live on the moon in a settlement. Many of them live on Earth, and he talks a lot about getting your Earth legs back. You have to use an exoskeleton when you first come back to Earth from the moon because you're not used to the gravity. Same thing on Mars. You have to do things to kind of keep yourself in shape, and he doesn't dive too deep into what they do, but it's exercise and simulated gravity, et cetera, et cetera. But for the moon and Mars, he just basically says, look, you just get used to it. And maybe that's right. Maybe the body does adapt. I don't know.
Adapt into frail, shriveled, actually not shriveled, very tall individual, since the less the gravity will allow you to actually expand higher.
Our final comment on last week's episode, or last time, 2 weeks ago episode, Matt says, even though he's explicitly written that it will never happen, I still say Neil deGrasse Tyson would make a fantastic president. To Tom's points, I'm not sure how good a diplomat/manager-in-chief he'd be, but director of the Hayden Planetarium has to count for something, right?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't vote him out. I think that would be actually. Let me rephrase that. I would give him a chance. Now, if he totally ends the world, then I'd probably maybe he wasn't such the best choice.
Then you'll regret it.
Yes. I don't know. It's kind of interesting how we like to think of certain people would be a great leader just because they're a likable person outside, but being the president, I mean, there's so much stress in there. You have to really see how these people deal with an ongoing amount of pressure because, there are plenty of people I know, really genial, really nice guys, but you put them in a pressure cooker situation and it's like a Jekyll and Hyde thing. They turn around like, ah! Maybe not the R bit. But.
Maybe not so much the R bit, but yeah, no, I know what you mean. And we talked about it a lot in the last episode, that, the idea that you need
Scandinavian countries or Western European nation. And typically what all those countries usually have is a small population, which allows a lot more direct involvement by the population in government. But they also tend to be relatively homogenous, thereby and not even just on racial, just, people are very familiar with each other. And so there's a level, there's almost a familial sense, kind of like it's kind of like what people often say about the difference between a small town and a big city. Big city, you're very anonymous. You don't know anyone. They don't know you, and it's just kind of like everyone likes it. Small town, everyone knows your business, but you know their business too, and you know where they're coming from. Mr. George down the block is a tax accountant, but you also know his daughter plays, clarinet in high school, and you know everything. So there's a immediate, I think, sense of familiarity, and maybe you're less prone to doing exaggerated things because, if I do that, then his daughter won't have a place to practice, or that person's son won't be able to go to college. I mean, I might be generalizing here, but I think having a smaller population allows a group of people to kind of maybe get more intimate, maybe in a community sense, where there's a sense of vested interest, and not just like, well, I'm going to get my stuff, and whoever that guy is on the opposite side of town, well, he can deal with his own business.
Yeah, I think you're onto something, and I don't even think it necessarily has to remain geographically small, if you know what I mean. I think it's the idea of the unknown and the stranger that causes us to treat people differently than we would in that small town environment where people are forced to know each other. It's not like these people necessarily would choose to hang out with each other if they didn't. They're forced to because there just aren't that many other people around. And so you can't afford it. And so you can't avoid it. And so you get all of these kind of responses that you're talking about where it's like, well, I don't really hate Bob, don't really love Bob, but I don't want to see his daughter get, messed up by something, so I'm not going to, go just throw all of my trash or my tires out, near the high school and burn them, right? It's just not what I'm going to do. I'm going to I'm going to take some responsibility for the other people in my community. However, if you live in a place where you don't know any of the other folks, and you're like, oh, the smoke will go up in the air, it won't harm anybody. It's because you're not putting a personal face on what you're doing. Now, that may not be the best example, but I do think that it'll be interesting to see how society changes. I probably won't live to see it, but it'll be interesting to see how society changes when population stabilizes or starts to decline, which many scientists expect to happen towards the end of this century. We no longer have the ability to hide things in growth.
Exactly.
We can't just say like, oh well, we'll kind of shove that problem under the rug because we're growing so much and we can afford to just ignore it for now. I mean, there's two ways you can do that. One is you have so many people around that you can afford to harm a few of them because there's plenty of them that you're not harming, which would never happen in a smaller town because everyone takes responsibility and notices the harm, even if it is a small percentage. Or something that a smaller community can take advantage of is abundant resource. Well, I'm going to throw all of my sewage in the river because it's just going to wash out in the river, and there's plenty of river and there's plenty of room. I'm going to throw all the trash on the edge of town because there's plenty of land out there. I'm going to burn trees all day long because there's so many trees. We're getting to the point where we can't hide under an abundance of resources. So as resources become constrained and people start to become more valuable because there are fewer of them all the time, or a stable population, I think that really will affect the way we behave and the way we approach the world. Right now it hides a lot of our mistakes because there's always more people, so you can devalue people.
And it's interesting. It's one of the things I would actually like to see touched upon. I know, was it the Discovery Channel hosted that show that showed after man is gone and what happens to all this stuff?
Oh right, yeah.
I would like to see one where it was a reduced population. Like, how would the world look today if the population was only 100 million people around the globe, like million people total, versus as it is today, where you have 7+ billion? Because I think suddenly people look at things in an entirely different light. As you said, as people become fewer, skills, information, knowledge becomes scarcer and more valuable. And so...
And you can't just expect continued growth. I think it's absolutely insane that our economy is built on the unquestioned assumption that the best good comes from the best, fastest amount of growth. I think it causes so many ills in the world, and I think it's something that's absolutely unsustainable, and it's not going to be able to be relied upon in the future.
I often believe that, in terms of how populations will deal with a stabilized population, but an aging population, what happens in the long term is to kind of look at Japan, because it's at the point where a good chunk of the population will be over 65, and the number of younger people between the ages of 1 and 25 is also reduced. So as that society begins to change, I mean, it could provide a good idea of how every other society on the planet will also deal with it, and kind of see what who's going to take of the elderly. When there's more elderly than young people, who's going to be able to take care of all of them? Are you going to have to rely on automated devices like robots or feeding tubes or something ridiculous, or perhaps some sort of euthanasia program where people who are at a certain age that require some sort of assisted living are just kind of bumped off because they cost too much to kind of maintain.
It's like Torchwood Miracle Day.
Yes. And I don't know. There's so many things that spring to mind that aren't immediately apparent. Like, how do you deal with something as simple as, like, for example, a disaster where 300 people die. 300 people die is a tragedy, but say in this country of 300+ million, won't affect all that much in terms of economy. But when you have a much smaller population, something like that could be devastating. I mean, that's happened, in a number of instances in pre-Christian, or what do you call it, Neolithic societies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think of us. Have you ever played a video game where there's a lot of complex levers that you can choose and a lot of strategies that are very complex that you can choose, but you find one or two that you learn and are easy to remember early on, and you just kind of rely on them early on in the game. And you just kind of beat the opponents over the head, the computer opponents over the head with those, and don't worry about those other pieces. And then suddenly that strategy stops working. And you realize, oh crap, I've got to go figure out these other nuances in the game if I'm gonna survive, or if I'm gonna make it past this level. And it works in all kinds of video games, but I'm thinking, in my case specifically, of Civilization, where early on in the game, especially when I first started playing it, I would just create a bunch of army units. Create as many army units as possible. Maybe a granary or something, but don't worry about keeping the citizens happy. Just go out and start conquering things. And settlers and military, right? And that hides all your flaws because you just keep building new cities. And even if a city fails, doesn't matter, you got a new city. And then eventually you get to the point where you come up against another civilization in the game that's more advanced than you because they've managed their research better, and balanced their society, and they blow the crap out of you. And then you realize, you know what, I got to go back and I got to balance this. I can't just continually make military and settlers. I got to build some research institutes so I can develop technologies faster, and then I'll be able to develop better military that'll be more efficient. And you start to learn how to play the game better. I feel like that's human society writ large right now. We're trying to learn how to play the game better, but a bunch of people in charge are still saying, you know what, we can just jam on these two things for a while, and we're going to be fine. We'll just keep going on that, and eventually we're going to realize that those two things don't work anymore, and we're going to have to learn how to play the game better.
I mean, it's interesting. Like in the past, ever since the whole global financial crisis, there have been many areas where that have done very well, China being one of them. But what a lot of economists have now uncovered is like a lot of that growth was due to a huge amount of government investment. They were just pouring money into the economy in the hopes of something would sustain itself. And the problem is that a lot of those investments were made in areas that weren't really the most effective use. Infrastructure projects that don't really benefit a majority of the population. They literally like the bridge to nowhere, I guess.
Well, yeah, like whole cities in China were built that no one lives in.
And it's, as the money supply starts to shrink, you can't do that anymore. And so now you're left with, well, what do we do? How do we maintain, this fantastic growth? And the simple answer is you can't. I mean, there's no easy way to do it. I mean, you can do all sorts of financial mechanisms, but the pain points are going to be, you're just shifting it around. Some people are going to someone's going to really feel it bad, no matter what you do. It's just depending on who you want to, I hate to put it this way, kind of screw over the most, and you want to benefit the most. It's kind of a weird calculus, but
well, the thing is, you can balance it so that people don't get screwed very badly, or you can have it so that people get screwed really badly. I mean, you're right. There's always going to be a part of the economy that isn't doing as well. There's just no way to make everybody, making the most money possible. That's just not the way it works. It's a zero-sum game in that way. But you can have it skewed over a spread in a large amount or a more narrow amount, and that's what the game is all about. When you talk about economics, as far as I'm concerned, it's like, how do we make sure that the average is good? Actually, not even the average, but let's make sure that the bottom isn't too far down. And usually what we're doing instead is making sure that the top is as far up as it goes. I'm fine with the top being as far up as it can go, as long as that bottom isn't going down to make the top go up. Because if that's the case, then that's not... Yeah. That's not smart.
And in the long run, that kind of screws the people at the top, too. I mean...
It will. Well, but see, they don't believe that because they feel like, oh, but it won't screw me before I'm dead, and then it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, that's true, but it might screw over your kids. And, if you don't like...
But I gave them an inheritance, and I made sure to lobby for no capital gains tax or inheritance tax or death tax, so they should be fine.
It's at some point something's going to break. And, I'm not a pessimist. Actually, no. But I don't think it'll be Mad Max. I don't think people are going to be, going around trading spare ammunition as currency in the neo, in the post global financial crisis, global financial crisis part 2 or 3 or whatever. But things will definitely be different. I think we kind of see it now. I mean, spending is still depressed to where they were back in 2000 or the highs of 2007, 2008, and as people kind of realize, like, you know what, I get along just fine without buying that new 50-inch TV or that that 5-week vacation somewhere tropical or somewhere in the south. I can get by in my life just fine without having to spend as much as I have been led to believe that I needed to do in order to live a fulfilling life.
Sure. No, it's a absolutely good point, and it's a good point to end on. Thanks to the folks that are out there in the Google Hangout watching us on the broadcast. Thanks for experimenting or sampling it. Appreciate you guys watching. Thanks to everybody who's watching or listening in the regular podcast, or maybe watching on the YouTube that's been recorded and posted later on. You can find all of our episodes at subbrilliant.com/EMW. You can leave comments as our folks like Fez and Matt did at that place. And if you don't know what East Meets West is, well, it's probably a little late to be explaining it to you now. But it's what Roger and I do whenever we feel like it, to just have a chat about whatever is on our minds. So it'll be different every time you tune in. And if you can't live with that kind of inconsistency, we understand.
You should go regular. Fiber. Lots of fiber.
Eat fiber. We'll see you later.
Bye. That's so cool.
Why, look, you have a halo. Where's that one?
I keep hitting the dog thing.
Oh, it changes every time. Okay, I see.
Orange.
That's interesting. So we didn't get anybody join in on the Hangout again. I think I think once people realized it was actually the podcast, that scared them off.
Aw. Well, usually. Oh, I thought I saw Colleen earlier.
Did she try to pop in?
No, but she was on. She's on the the list of friends or people in your circle that's on.
Hi, Colleen.
Aw.
We got a few people comment on the posting.
Oh, cool.
I didn't realize it was going to post every time I changed something. There's like 7 postings out there, so I have to figure that out. So that's a little annoying. I apologize for that.
Heather's.
Yeah, but people have cars.
I know. I mean, people often underestimate the amount of time and money you need to.
Well, yeah, that's true. I just got my car out of the shop.
I got my car crapped on. It stopped raining. I guess the birds found a perch above my car at work and just let loose. I'm hoping it rains tonight to wash it up.
I was trying to squeeze into a parking space that was too small, and I scraped it up against the wall.
Ah. You got it fixed for that, or you just had the?
Yeah, it was dented. It was scraped and it was gouged, and the paint got scraped up. I didn't want it to rust.
That's true. It is. You can always use Bondo.
Yeah, that just looks so crappy though. I'm not good enough. I know there's people out there who could use Bondo and make it look fine, but I'm not one of those people. So.
You're not like me, where you just put it on the side so it looks like caulk.
Slap it on. Yeah. I took it into the body shop. They did a great job. Northgate Auto Body. Not that anyone in the audience is gonna be likely to need their services, but they did a fantastic job. Really nice people, easy to deal with, good work.
Yeah, people used to say that.
Hard to find that sort of thing.
Hard to find good-looking people, or
good-looking? I didn't say anything about good-looking people. I said hard to find good work.
Good-looking work. You left something in there with looking. I don't know what.
Good-looking. It looked good. The car looked good. It's a body shop. That's what they do.
Well, in the future they're going to be working on human bodies.
Yeah.
Bondo Queen or Silicon Queen will have an entirely new. Oh wait.
Yeah, they'll probably call it Bondo for bodies.
Botox Queen. Or Botox body. Can you use Botox in your body? Isn't it just for the face?
Good question. It's a toxin. I guess you could use it other places. I don't really know.
Oh, Heather Solver says, "Ha! You already bought a robot from me." To you.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did. I do. Oh, that's who that is. I have a robot dog from you.
Awesome.
I didn't see who you were talking about.
You put a little smiley face.
My robot dog is over there. It's in the other room. He's cool. He watches over my other dogs.
To Antonio Cunningham, yes. Hopefully.
Where are you seeing these?
On your post. On your Tom Merritt post at the 652. It's the third one down.
All right. See, I'm busy editing the episode, so I haven't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. There's nothing to be sorry about.
I'm not sorry.
I wasn't looking. I'll go look now. They're not coming up at the top of my thing either. You're just in the Google Plus main feed, right?
Yep.
Yeah. They should be like boiling up to the top. I'll go to notifications.
They don't have a Hangout tab, do they? Photos.
That's her Archie loves. That's who that is.
Who? I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Chris Holt was like, we're not allowed to join. Because we're recording East Meets West, we only have a limited circle of people because we don't want it to be... We might try the open East Meets West at some point, but we're not quite ready to just open the floodgates and see who shows up. So we have a limited circle of other podcasters. We just got the broadcast ability. That's why you can see us, but you can't join. So we're taking it baby steps.
Baby steps.
Antonio, we do plan to keep doing Hangouts with East Meets West.
Cool. I'm happy. That's cool.
So yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing. The Hangout broadcast is kind of new in Google Plus. Not everybody has the ability to do it. I just got it thanks to Alex Lindsay. He kind of lobbied for us to get it, and that allows you to do a Hangout and limit who's in the Hangout, but let everybody watch it. Because we've been doing East Meets West as a Hangout for a while, but we've been limiting the circle, and so now we've taken the next step, which is let everybody watch it, even though not everybody can participate in it.
Tim Barber says, so what about a post East Meets West Hangout?
Yeah, we could do that. Want to do that?
Sure. I got 10 minutes.
Give me 10 minutes. I'll give you the world.
Awesome. I would also like a side of fries, animal style, cheese.
All right, so what do I do? Public? Public circles? Wait, what are public circles? Your circles, extended circles. I just want everybody. Let's see what happens when I do that. All right. We should see people showing up if that worked.
Okay.
I don't think it did.
Aw.
I can't imagine people wouldn't have shown up already.
Oh, did you initiate a new Hangout?
Yeah, I invited public circles, but I don't think that's the same as public.
Huh.
Public Relations Society of America.
Uh-oh.
All right, I'm going to do this. Except people I invite can't invite others. So that's extended circles.
Well, this Google Plus always needs a little more.
Yeah, they're still working on it.
It's a beta.
It is. That's that's why they're not just making broadcasts available all over. Cause they're still kind of hammering away at it. Yeah, that's a weird thing here. Don't know if Hangouts
Oh.
allows public participation. Well, you know what? I could, when I started the Hangout. Oh, you know what? That was a regular Hangout. That was before I made it a broadcast Hangout. Hey, Pete McDermott.
Hey, Pete McDermott joined us.
You must be in an extended circle.
Extended circles. Golly, man. That's disappointing.
Well, I didn't say you were only an extended circle, but you must be somewhere within there because I don't think it's public yet.
I haven't.
Yeah. Do you not have the ability to invite public? I noticed that I do recently.
I can't figure it out. I mean, I typed public in, and all I get are these pages that are named public.
Yeah, you might only be able to do it when you first initiate it. I don't know. I saw it there last time I did one, but...
Okay. I'm going to just invite Antonio and Tim in because they're asking in particular.
Tom, are you using the PSA 1?
No. You mean the
okay.
mic?
No, the boom.
Oh, this is the Heil boom.
Oh.
It's just whatever their stock boom is that they make.
Yeah.
I don't know what their model number is.
Tim Barber joined.
There's Tim Barber.
Hello.
Hey. Thank you.
The Halo back.
Welcome.
It's good to get to see you guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm hearing echoes.
From us or you? Are you hearing your own voice echo?
I'm hearing it distant, like it's coming off of somebody else's system. That's why I put the headphones on to try to eliminate that.
Cunningham. Hey, Antonio.
Hey, how's it going? I get to play with the big boys today.
Hey, welcome.
Hey,
Come on in. The water's fine.
I used to doing a hangout every other day. This time I get to play with somebody who's famous. So,
Like Roger.
Like Tom.
how's it going, guys?
Good.
I got the hangout going on in my bedroom. I was watching you guys on my bedroom, but this is my studio that I only hang out in.
Ah, nice. You got a dedicated hangout place.
Yes, I got 3 bedrooms, and 2 of them I wasn't using, so
No,
That's
turned
cool.
this one into a hangout.
bedroom surplus.
Yeah, I'm in my only bed. Well, actually, I have another bedroom that's filled with boxes of comic books.
And I'm in my office.
Yeah, I'm in
You have
my
to
office
turn
too.
this to my office.
I'm in a bunker in an undisclosed location. Don't tell me, buddy.
Sanctuary.
So where's everyone located? I'm curious to see, is everyone on the West Coast, East Coast?
Oh, no.
Man, the myth of the internet. Everybody does not live on the West Coast.
I am in Durham, North Carolina. So
I clearly said West, East, all parts in between and around the planet.
And I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
I love it here. It
So-
was 80 degrees today.
Oh, I don't
Nice.
like that.
I work late at night, so when I sit here and I'm working, I get to cut on Twit TV and watch you guys, because when y'all are performing in the afternoon, it's late at night for me, so I've got something to watch. Works out pretty nice.
So we're prime time, huh?
You are prime time for me.
Oh, that's
Hey, you
good.
know what, Roger? We forgot to do an Audible ad.
Oh, do we need to do one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Let me figure out how I'm gonna. I gotta relaunch some stuff.
I mute my mic just so I won't interfere with it.
Give me a minute.
Roger, I'm in Nashville to answer your question.
Aha. So it is. So it's slightly disclosed. Location.
Slightly. No, man. I live right just not too far from the Hermitage.
Oh, I've been home to the Hermitage.
Oh, home to the Hermitage. Oh, wow.
I have
Second
a
most
button.
visited after Mount Vernon, believe it or not.
I have not visited. I should probably.
When was your last time
Nashville
in
is
Nashville?
a fun
Tom?
place.
It is.
Last time I was in Nashville was about 3 or 4 Christmases ago. We met my sister down in Pigeon Forge.
Oh, okay. Bit touristy.
I just kind of passed through on my way there.
Pigeons have.
You gonna give us the heads up when you do the ad?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This is great. I get to meet new people. I'm used to my same group.
I don't really use us outside of this.
I rarely get on it. I want to. I tell people I'm like a little kid with one walkie-talkie. I think this is fabulous. I got nobody around here I can use it with because they don't have to understand it. So,
Well, here I've got a theory why. I'll share you a link to my most recent post.
I got.
Love to get your reactions on that.
I got. I totally get that one walkie-talkie thing because I had that when I was a kid. We got a walkie-talkies for Christmas. And my sister was the only other one who got one. So if she wasn't around, I'm just like out in my backyard trying to like pull up truckers going by on the highway through 5 miles away. I figured out that the crystal, my dad and I kind of figured out the crystals went with particular CB radio channels. Not any of the ones people used, unfortunately, but.
Okay. Oh wow, I got 4 notifications. I don't need to look at that right now.
I got a general question for you guys. I'm trying to find a home for an old digital camera. I bought a Casio QV30, and I think that came out in 1995, best I can tell. But I do not want to throw it away, and I wanted to give it to somebody that'll collect it, not somebody that won't do anything with it. Does anybody know anybody that might be interested?
It's
Pete,
what is it
got a
again?
bunch of cameras sitting there.
A Casio
Back behind him, I don't know.
QV-30. I can remember taking pictures of my cousin's wedding, then trying to blow them up, and was so disappointed I couldn't see them because I think the maximum resolution was 320 by 240. But hell, it was digital.
Wow.
It's double lens, a big LCD screen, low resolution, no movie.
You guys remember the Sony Mavica that
Yes,
printed everything
yeah.
on a 3.5 floppy? Oh yeah.
Yeah, I shot. That's the first digital photos I ever took was on that. In fact, one of them features Tom with longer hair.
All right, Roger, you ready to do the ad?
Yes.
I'm going to mute my mic.
I'm gonna mute mine as well.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank
This
you.
won't take but a second. We're going to finish up Fez's comment in just a second, but we do have to thank our sponsor, Audible.com. Would like everyone out there to have a free audiobook. It's something that I do. I was doing it early today when I was driving home. I was listening to audiobooks, and then I came in and I just kept listening and did some chores, walk around the house. I read a whole lot more now that I have audiobooks than I ever did before. And Audible is the Internet's leading provider of audiobooks. More than 100,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature, featuring audio versions of many New York Times bestsellers. Listeners of East Meets West get a free audiobook to give you a chance to try out the service. I'm reading Lies of Locke Lamora. It's the Sword and Laser pick. Great fiction, great fantasy, but they have all kinds of nonfiction too. They have bestsellers. They have magazines. You can get Scientific American, New York Times, just part of your subscription. So, Roger, you got any you would like to recommend or anything you want to throw out there before we move on?
I will have to say that since everyone at work has been really into Game of Thrones for some reason for the past 3 months, are any of those novels available?
Yes, you can, but remember that those are 2 credits. So that they're not ones you can try for free, but you can get them if you sign up for the Platinum plan.
Well, maybe I might have to do
but
that.
they are there, and Patrice reads them. They're fantastic.
And I want to get in on the water cooler chat that I've been missing out.
Yeah, it's a great way to get into it. Lies of Locke Lamora is very similar. In fact, George R.R. Martin recommends it. The guy who authored Game of Thrones says, I love Scott Lynch. I love Lies of Locke Lamora. So that's going to be my recommendation. But you can pick any book you want. Steve Jobs' biography, new book from Stephen King. They just added The Stand. All of that and more available. audiblepodcast.com/east. That's audiblepodcast.com/east. And we thank them for their support of East Meets West. Thanks, you guys.
Oh, there we go. Cool.
Yep. Thank you
back.
very much.
It's
Now
great.
to figure how to elegantly slip that back in.
I actually got kicked out of the chat room once at Twit because they said my handle was too close to Tom's.
Were you,
Uh,
which one- are you the architect?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I remember that.
I
I tried to stick up for you. I was like, look.
whatever. Life's short. But
Yeah.
I've been using AutoCAD since about 2.18 or something. So I take Architect and CAD, and I made RCAD Tech. And I got in and I use it for everything. And I've been using Tim Barber just so I don't know, dual personalities. But I got in the Twit message room once, and it was I put in Architect, and I was told I was bumped because it was too close to Ace to Tech.
That's just silly.
Hey, if it makes you feel better, I got kicked out once for impersonating me.
Did ya?
I got kicked out of the CNET chat room for logging in as Ace Detect one day because they didn't recognize the IP address. They thought it was somebody masquerading as me.
It's me, no.
I don't usually get a chance to get in the chat because I'm doing what I know you don't like, Tom. I'm just going to say it up front. Usually when the podcast's on, I'm driving. So I put it on at the stop sign, then I put it on the mirror, then I drive. I know you don't like me to not pay attention to what I'm doing, but I've never been in an accident. So
Well, as long as
You're talking about the audio version, right?
As long as you're not
video
calling
version.
me from your car, you can listen to the show. That's fine. I don't mind that.
Well,
So
see,
you're watching the show and driving, Tom.
yes.
I work about 24/7. I'm a one-man office, and what I ended up doing is I have my computer over there that I draw on. Then I've got a T60 laptop and an external monitor. So I end up Twit stays on most of the time on the big one. So I'm always watching. I have a difficult time getting in the chat room because they scroll by so damn fast. I can't read
Oh, I
them.
know.
So I've got to draw, and I look over and listen. But I don't get in that often, but I don't know how you guys read them.
You know what I do?
Selectively.
I just kind of look at what I see right at the moment. I don't try to. I've given up a long time ago trying to read everything that's in
Well,
there.
it's amazing that people don't understand how fast it's going. So somebody will write the same thing over and over and over,
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to get you to recognize it or whatever.
Then they start kicking people once they do it like the third time.
Yeah. In fact, I've gotten booted by accident for that.
I try to cap it off at a 2. If they don't say it by the second one, I realize that then maybe they're too busy. Because I've been in some hangouts where I've been hanging out with friends with like 10 people going on, and it's hard to get anything in, so I start typing in the chat. And it is tough to follow what's going on live versus looking at the chat. And I know Twit has like thousands of people chatting at the same time. Y'all, you guys got talent. I had a hard time keeping up with 10 people.
Yeah, it's tough.
Especially when people are going back and forth.
And repeating themselves. And
I haven't had it that hard. I only had 2 hangouts where it was full to capacity. But
So did anybody in here use Oink before?
I tried it once, but I stopped.
Never used it.
Never.
I'm an Android guy, so it was never available.
You gonna teach me something new?
No. Kevin's group just pulled it off and said, "Oh, we're done. You can download your data until the 31st." I just thought that was an interesting move instead of just kind of like letting it die off on its own.
Well, you did read that the rumor is that he was hired by Google, right?
That's no rumor. It's for sure.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It was just seeing that shut down that quickly.
Well, what y'all see on
Interesting
TNT today that he was supposedly going to go to work on Monday? So I mean,
that we don't know for sure, but we do know he got hired.
but if that is the case, then there isn't any time to close it down. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I have a BlackBerry. I'm not using any of it.
Oh, your BlackBerry will match my camera.
I really like the phone because it doesn't. Well, it before. I've had it for a couple of years. I need to swap out the battery. My guy knew it was actually really good on battery life, and it's small enough that I can put it in my pocket without having it pull down my jacket or not fit my jeans pocket.
I understand.
I haven't used a BlackBerry in years.
Yeah.
I almost forgot what it feels like.
Antonio, you're in Atlanta?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I got tired of making coffee and getting up and pouring myself coffee all the time, so I bought this Bubba mug that came from Atlanta. So it holds 32 ounces, so I don't have to get up very often. But only down south would they add something, and I could not figure out what that metal piece was. It's a bottle opener.
That's
So
brilliant.
I assume the boys down at the racetrack or something just pop their beers and fill up their Bubba mug, and it's a coffee mug to me. I couldn't figure out what the metal was for.
Can I point out that 32 ounces is well enough to hold a tall boy?
That's what I kind of figured out with that bottle opener. But yeah.
Now I know what to get my friend in North Carolina.
There you
Well,
go.
he's in South Carolina. He's, 10 miles from Charlotte.
Okay.
As I hang out with him all the time. And his birthday's coming up, so now I know. Cool. Roger, my mom has a BlackBerry now, and she wants an Android. I don't know if I should talk her out of it, or should she keep her BlackBerry, because she's fine with it. She just... everybody in the house got Android phones, and she feels a little left out.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with an Android. I mean, if she can make good use of it, I don't see why not. I mean,
Well, my daughter was wanting a BlackBerry, and she ended up getting the Droid Pro, which has the keyboard at the bottom is BlackBerry-like, and she seemed to accept that fine. So that may be an option, Antonio, if you look at that.
I mean, I like the keyboard just because I hate typing on a capacitive touchscreen.
Oh,
But some people.
I cannot stand typing on a capacitive screen. I was so much better on my resistive screen on my the Tilt 2. I was so accurate. I can type whatever I want to type and move on, no problem. My phone I have now, I have to do voice to text because I can't type. I tried to use Swipe, but I upgraded my phone to Ice Cream Sandwich, and now Swipe doesn't work with it.
Oh.
So now I have to use voice to text in order to do any kind of texting.
So you got to wait for Swipe to upgrade?
Yes.
Before
But
you
the one I have now, it works, but it never guesses my words correctly anymore. When I had Gingerbread, I swiped, no problem. Now when I try to swipe, like I can swipe it'll put F-I-R. I'm like, how did you get F-I-R for the? I have to constantly recheck what I write before I post anything. That's too much work. A phone should not have to be that much work, in my opinion.
I know it's really old, but I still like the old Sidekick where the phone and the display would flip out to the side and you'd have that full keyboard or full thumb board. That was pretty nice.
He has a real keyboard.
Before I got the
Yeah,
Android,
it's terrible though.
Oh, it's a crappy phone, but I like the keyboard.
No, I've got the Epic 4G. It's the last QWERTY keyboard, full size slide out to come on a Galaxy S phone. But it's just the keys are non-responsive because they have the same lag you have when you're typing on screen. And somebody was writing about, oh man, I can't remember who it was. I think it may have been Wilson Tech. It was Wilson Tech. He was talking about the Galaxy Nexus, and he's always used an iPhone, and he tried the Galaxy Nexus, and his biggest complaint was lag when you're typing. And it's so freaking annoying. So you would have the perception if you're doing it on a tactile keyboard that would go away. It doesn't. Same problem.
Wow.
And that's where iOS trumps Android, I think. Just in typing things on the keyboard, as simple as that sounds.
I hate typing on iOS. Not so much on the iPad, but on the iPhone.
Why is that though? Do you
I
experience any lag when you're typing?
It's not that. It's that it just gets my key presses wrong all the time, and autocorrect seems to constantly correct to the wrong word.
Yeah.
And I wish I had I like a physical keyboard, something I could actually know I'm pressing the right thing.
Anybody use SwiftKey? That seems to work pretty good.
Yeah.
It's got the prescriptive stuff, and I've gotten to the point now where as I'm typing and it gives me some 3 options on the type, I can hit the one I want and can type fairly fast. And of the 3 options I get, usually one of them's exactly what I want to say. So, and I don't like typing on a phone either, but I've got kids, so I have to respond.
Now, I didn't mind the keyboard on my G2. I actually love my G2. The only reason I got rid of it was there was a great deal on Craigslist for $180. I got $200. Hey, let's go get the new phone. I got the new phone, and I miss my G2. I gave my G2 away to my boss, and he loves it. I had 0 problems out of that phone. Now my phone reboots every blue moon. I have to use text to speak in order to do any kind of text messages. I don't like typing on that huge screen. There is no option for a keyboard, so I have to deal with the screen.
I use a original Droid X, but I had to break bad and get one of those 3800 milliamp batteries.
Yeah.
To make mine look like a camel. But, hey, it works. And I've been thinking about getting a new phone, but I really haven't seen anything to inspire me to want to get rid of this one. This one hasn't been non-functional enough that I can justify it. I do like the Note that Leo has, and he said it was eventually coming to Verizon, but because I like the bigger screen, but I can't find a good reason to move up yet.
Eileen really loves the Droid Razr, and particularly the Max because of the battery life. But she just absolutely loved that phone.
I love her enthusiasm with her devices.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to get up outside.
I love this phone. I'm like, have you mentioned that you love this phone lately?
I like watching All About Android, obviously.
I'm sorry, that's my favorite show.
That's a good show. Those guys are awesome.
As you guys talk about all these new tablets coming out, the first tablet I got was the HP TouchPad, which is sitting over here, looks like a clock now. And I ended up getting a Vizio 8-inch tablet off of eBay for $169. And then I got a Micro Cruise for $75. These things are not very responsive, but they don't cost very much either. And to have a 7-inch tablet to check my email and everything, that's an area that nobody really talks about much, is finding the, I don't know if you want to call it best bang for the buck, or the lowest costing functional tablet versus, because a Prime Transformer, I'd love to have one of those things, but I just can't fork the money out of it, just like I could not justify buying an iPad because I just don't want to spend that much money.
I feel the same way. I would love to have a tablet like that, but I do a lot of tech work, so if I can't make any money off of it, it's kind of a lost cause for me. I'm not on the high end of the income, so I can't just throw away money. There has to be a way I can make money off of it. And for a tablet to be 300 plus, yes, I love the tablet. I love the Galaxy, not Galaxy, the Prime, but I can't see a tablet being that high, being productive for what I do.
Well, Antonio, I'd start buying these things for almost an addiction. I just received today a Micro Cruise T408, which is an 8-inch tablet. It's got Android 2.3. It's got an ARM processor, 1 gigahertz, and it's got a front-facing camera. I got it on eBay, won it for $100, $15 shipping.
See, that's doable.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There are people like us that want a nice tablet, but don't want to spend the $300, $400, $500 on it. And I think it's what I got was a steal. It's very responsive. I've been very happy with it today. And it doesn't come with the Android market, but you can sideload those easily.
You mean Android Play?
Excuse me, that is right.
Google
Well,
Play. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
playing some books earlier.
Oh, you played books? Oh, wow. I was playing with my bank account, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Man.
Smart move, Google.
Hey, Tom and Roger, it was really good getting to talk to you guys. I got to run, but
Oh, hey, Pete. Yeah, I wanted to show you this before you go.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Well, next time you're in town, let me know, man. We'll take care
I think
of you.
I
while
got
you're
that in like 1992, but yeah.
I was
Pete-
trying to dig up my old. I used to have a Nokia 3650. I was trying to dig it out and show you guys I was still using that, but I'm not. But
Pete, I came to
Wow.
the very first Music City Bowl in Nashville.
I am really sorry.
Oh, it was good.
In Nashville, that would have been in Memphis.
No, it's
Music
in
City-
Nashville. They played
Oh,
at
they did it
Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
But my team won, so it was a good trip. But
Well, there
Nashville's
you
a
go.
blast, a fun place to go. So
There you go. Well, cool. Well, hey,
All right.
nice meeting you, Tom, Roger.
Yeah, nice chatting with you,
Tim
Pete.
and Antonio, I'll add you to your circles. Roger, you need to post more public stuff, man. You look like you don't exist.
I don't. I don't use Google Plus at all.
Oh.
I did it because it's like, oh, you gotta add me. It's like, all right. And
All right,
now
so
I literally get
question.
like 5 or 6 people adding me each week, or adding me to their circles. Like, I don't really do anything, but I have
So-
a lot.
but if you do, we'll catch
I don't
it.
know why you guys don't use it though.
We use it. I mean, we use it for Texzilla, but and I know a couple of my coworkers use it. But everyone I work with on a daily basis, I either ping through IM, Facebook, or Twitter. It's a chicken or egg thing.
This could be the place where you finally do your Changisms.
No.
Because
It's not one of those things you have to do because it's one of those things that comes out organically.
all right.
It's an emotional response, Tom. It's not a technical need.
I understand.
Speaking of which, my girlfriend's home, so I need to go.
All right, yeah, I gotta go eat too. But thanks you
All
guys
right,
for hanging out.
thanks guys
Yeah,
for letting us
I'm
in.
glad you guys let us in.
All right,
no
y'all have a good night.
All right,
You
you
too.
too.
All right, too. I enjoyed this.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.